Tim, in trying to assess the nature of reality, we recognize that an initial part of the question is what we can know, epistemology, the approach to our knowledge. Everything has to go through our brains. And the anti-realism argument, which superficially sounds like it violates common sense, the more you think about it, the more there's some substance to it. Everything we can know only comes through our sense organs, and the regularities we see in nature. If we impart some deep significance to some laws, that's sort of a human construct, as opposed to saying that we create the models of what reality looks like it's producing, and that's all we can really do. So, I must say that I'm sort of seduced by the anti-realism argument, even though I'd prefer not to be. Can you help me?
Sure. So the question is really, as you say, one of evidence. So we develop some scientific theories, and then we ask, what grounds do we have to think they might be either precisely correct or approximately correct or something like that. The common sense view, which I think is absolutely right, is if you ask me, do we have good reason to believe the atomic hypothesis, that if I can't keep taking water and cutting it in half and always having water, but I get down to a molecule of water and that's it. We have more evidence for that than anyone could imagine. If somebody wants to say, I don't believe that, I think maybe I've projected that on the world, I think they've lost their bearings. Now, it's harder for the more theoretical parts of physics to say, what kind of evidence do we have and exactly what is it evidence for? But the idea that physics is on the right track, if you can predict the anomalous magnetic moment of the electron to 14 decimal places and measure it to 14 decimal places, and those numbers match, that's not because I'm projecting out into the world. That's because there's something about the theory I'm using that's accurate.
Well, that's right. There's something about the theory that you're using. It's something about the model that you're using to make those predictions, or that works. But the model that you're using is an equation. And so how is that equation, which are abstract symbols that we manipulate, how is that the same thing as whatever is actually causing it in reality? They seem like two different kinds.
Sure.
And so it works, and the best anti-realists, I'm trying not to join their camp, but I'm drawn to it. But the best of them, nobody disagrees with what you said in terms of the output and the remarkable output and the fit. But the concept is, don't mistake what you're doing. What you're doing is making a beautiful model and making it more and more beautiful as a model, but it's not the same thing as what the ultimate reality is, to which we have no access.
Well, I think what you're finding is that what you're calling the model really is close, in some sense close, or catching part of the actual physical reality. Now, it's true, we use mathematics, and you have to ask, what is this mathematics telling me about the world? How do I interpret the physical significance of the mathematics? And that's a tricky question, and trickier or less tricky in different settings. But there's something very close to accurate that's represented by the equations we have, and that this wasn't something that's just a product of our minds, that it has to do with our sense organs or anything like that. I mean, what does the anomalous magnetic moment of the electron have to do with my sense organs? So I think you have to think carefully about what you have good evidence for, but that you have good evidence that you're getting some part of reality pretty much right is overwhelming.
And I think what you said didn't at all disagree with or contradict what I said, but I think I'm just, and I'm voicing the opinion of others that I said I'm being drawn to, because what does the sense organs have? Well, the only reason we know that is because we've done some measurements through machines, and we've had data, and it's coming through our sensory systems and processed in the brain and all of that. And then we have the mathematical models, and the models get titrated and changed and modified, and they get more and more accurate. So the qualifications you used, I think, were important ones. We're very close to it. We have closer and closer. We have this very detailed approximation, but that that seems to reinforce the original point that you're making a model. You're not touching the actual laws, if there are any.
Well, you're not nobody thinks we're at the end yet. And there are certain claims which aren't even in equations. Like if I state the atomic hypothesis, it's not an equation. And I think it's just literally true. Matter's made of atoms. It has an atomic structure. That's not an approximation.
Right.
That's just accurate, something we found out. Certain anti-realists will deny that we found that out, or they'll say, no, our evidence for that just isn't really compelling to make it reasonable to believe, and I think they're just wrong.
I don't think, I don't know who you're talking to, but, but I don't think they would say that. They don't say we don't have enough evidence. They would say that we have the evidence to predict the results that you get from experiments with unbelievable accuracy and regularity. But we don't know what is the ultimate thing generating that. All we know is the data we're getting, and so we can predict that by the model.
Well, I'm not sure how you would apply that to the atomic hypothesis. So I say matter has an atomic structure. How can that just be approximately true or near to being true? It just does. We know that, right? We know that water is H2O molecules. If we don't know that, if you say, gee, I'm not sure about that, then I don't know where you're getting your skepticism from. Of course, to say that an exact equation is exactly right, no, we don't think we have the exact equations yet. But there's a perfectly good sense in which an equation can be close to, one equation can be close to another. And so there's a good sense in which we can be getting closer and closer to getting things exactly right.